All right, I'm just going to copy this and send it in my text. I am using Zoom again. So here we go. Welcome if you're listening. Okay. It is launching. All right, we should be good now. Just the camera a little bit. How y'all doing? I'm going to get it on my phone so I can see what's going on with the chat. Get it all set up here. Welcome, welcome. Let me know that you guys can hear me. All right, there we go. My skin is not really flawless. I actually had a tiny bit of a breakout this week. I had one here and yeah. Hello, Jen. Yvonne. Hello, Amanda. All right, well, wait a second for that text to get out. My lips. Hello, Cassie. Good to see you live. And Sarah Wallace. It's gotten really cold. We got our first little bit of snow today in Illinois, so that's always fun. I have all these flyaways. The weather is getting weird already. Hello, Shara. Hello, Angeli. You're up late again. Jessica, Deidre, Ashley. Hopefully I get y'all. Don't want to miss you. All right, so everyone's joining now. So I have a lot to cover. I got so much good advice. All of these papers, like all of that, that's all tips I got from women posting in the group that I did. I'm a part of it's like a Christian, large families, Christian homeschooling group or something on Facebook. And I posted in there and asked for suggestions because a lot of them have later pregnancies, you know, as they age and everything. So hello, Celine and Denise. Here, I'm glowing. Maybe it's a light. So I'm hoping I've only got 4 weeks left. That's what I'm hoping. I usually have my babies at 38 weeks, and that is 4 weeks from now. So let's all pray. I've only got 4 weeks left, especially since she's already measuring pretty big. So, hey, Dana. Yeah. I love fall. It's my favorite season. And so I would love to enjoy it all the way until like Christmas. Because I love having fall weather for Thanksgiving, the leaves and all that. Like all the leaves haven't even fallen and it's snowing. So that's not right when it does that. But we get come to Illinois, and by January, February, we're pretty sick of the snow. So, okay. So let's get right into the topic. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead. If you want to get text telling you when I go live, just text gently led, all lowercase, to 31996, and we'll get you in there. I have 100 people that I send them out to. So I'm gonna get rid of my gum. Not good to be chomping away on gum when you're doing a show. That would be kind of annoying. So I get many emails from listeners, and I actually got the suggestion last week. After the show, someone sent me an email, and congratulations. She is 36 and she is pregnant for the first time. Her and her husband are very, very happy, and I'm very happy for them too. We have a lot of ladies that listen that they have been trying to conceive, and then during the course of the show, they have gotten pregnant. And I'm so happy for them when I hear stories like that. And many of you remember, I wanted to make mention of this, Ruth Ann Slagel. She was on my show and we talked about loss, pregnancy loss. And she was having a really, really hard time getting pregnant because she had an incompetent cervix and she would always lose them around, 22, 23, 24 weeks. Well, she finally had a successful pregnancy and went full term and was able to deliver a beautiful baby girl who she named Kelly. And it was just a coincidence. It didn't have anything to do with my Kelly, but she is beautiful and I'm so happy for her. So that was just so nice that she was able to go on and have a healthy pregnancy and a healthy baby girl. So prayer works. And I have a lot of really cool stories like that. And I could go all night about that, but that was really cool that happened to her. So, but yeah, this lady asked if I could do a show specifically about pregnancy in your older years. And I say older loosely because I don't feel old now. This pregnancy has been a bit harder on me. I definitely do notice my age more with each pregnancy, but I don't feel like I'm old. In fact, I cannot believe I'm going to be 40 because when I was younger, 40 just seemed so ancient. I'm going to be 40 in January. But I do notice that pregnancy is different now than when I was in my 20s. So I did want to go over pregnancy in each, age and like kind of the pros and cons of it. So, but let's start talking about pregnancy when you're younger, okay? And then if you guys have any questions in the chat, go ahead and leave them. I'll try to address them. It's going, hi Dawn. It's going pretty fast by, so I'm trying to kind of look, but sometimes I get caught up when I'm talking about and I don't notice the chat. So if you have questions, I'll try to answer them. If you have questions, everyone else feel free to chime in too if you have any advice. So, but believe it or not, there are cons to being pregnant when you are younger or just having your first child, not even if you're younger, just if you've never done it before. Okay, so one of the things I've seen, and I know from experience, just from having babies when I was younger, was that I was not as knowledgeable. Obviously, you don't know what's going to happen. You've never experienced birth. You've never experienced going to a hospital, having them there, interacting with the doctors, the nurses. And it's a huge deal when it comes down to all that. So we'll kind of get into a little bit more as we go. Hey, Sarah and Amber. But, you don't know what to expect. I remember thinking with my first, I was only 20, so I was young. Now, I did know that I had done enough research. Back then we didn't have smartphones. We had a computer with internet, and I would spend a lot of hours researching just about natural births. I knew I wanted a natural birth in the hospital. I had a really good midwife who was in her 80s that I loved, and I knew I wanted to go all natural if I could. So, and I've done it all natural with all of them. Now going on, number 8. I'm hoping to do it all natural with her. But when my water broke at 36 weeks with my first, I was completely unprepared. I didn't even have anything packed because I figured, well, 40 weeks, I have 4 weeks left. So I didn't even know to pack early just in case. And my water broke at about 10 o'clock at night. Now, the one thing that I did not know was, I say all natural. I have had Pitocin with a couple, but I've never taken pain meds. I guess I should specify. I've never taken pain meds with any of them. But 36 weeks, my water breaks. I'm not having a single contraction. So we went to the hospital, and by about 10 o'clock the next morning, still hadn't had a single contraction. They have you hooked up to the monitor, nothing. So they recommended Pitocin, and I said, sure. And for me, Pitocin is not much different than doing it without Pitocin. I know a lot of women have different opinions about that, but it did get things going. And I was only on that for about 4 hours, and then he was born at 2 something in the afternoon. So I was very blessed that I didn't have a lot of side effects from that. It was fine, but now I kind of know what to expect, what to look for, what your body goes through, how it feels in transition, different things like that. So Denise asked, is it foolish to pray for a baby when I've had my tubes removed? I didn't want to have them removed, but the doctor insisted and said it was medically necessary. And they got into my husband's head. So he said, of course, that's not foolish. No, that's not foolish at all. Now, I don't know how it is with the tubes being removed. I don't know if there's any chance if they actually remove them, but I did know of a lady at my former church who had her tubes tied or snipped, one of the two. And she ended up really being convicted about it, started praying that God would bless them. And she ended up having twins, even though her tubes were tied. So no birth control is actually 100%. Even men that have had vasectomies have found that out. So, I don't think there's anything wrong with crying out to the Lord. And if it's his will, then it's his will. If not, then it's, you won't conceive. So sometimes we have a matter of taking things into our own hands and then regretting it later. That is why I don't think I could ever do anything permanently. Because of that, you don't know the future. And I would rather leave it in God's hands than take that into my own hands. So, but yeah, Yvonne, I think you better pack a bag if you're 36 weeks. I'm 34 and I just started. So, wow, that's awesome, Jen. But, you run a bigger chance when you're younger of being intimidated by the medical establishment. Take, for instance, I was young. I had not researched vaccines at all. Now, I researched natural births and everything that went into that. And, now that I'm older, I know a lot more about vaccinations and things. But when I had Chloe, they had not offered it with the other three. It was the Hep B or Hep A shot that they give in the hospital. And I believe Chloe was the last one I got it with. So I don't remember if it was Hep A or Hep B. I always refuse it now, but it was like a new thing that they started doing at my hospital, and my doctor was really pushing it. And I was really undecided about it. I just didn't know, I hadn't researched it. I was kind of thrown into it. And I remember standing out there. We were like looking into the nursery. They were doing tests or something on Chloe. And I asked her, I said, what would you do, to my doctor? And she said, oh, I give all of my grandchildren their shots. I mean, I would give her the shot. And so I said, okay, well, if you give it to your grandkids, then I guess it's okay. And, I still regret that. She might have been the only one that got that at birth. I'm not sure. But I ended up giving it to her just because I didn't know. With my first, they did try Hep B. That's it. Yes, Danielle, I wrote that down. I have that on my shots. We're going to go through what we're going to pack in a hospital bag in a little bit. So, they did try to really push us around with our first baby. We were only 20. He had a really hard time eating at first because he was 4 weeks early, and they really were trying to push the formula. And we were like, no, we don't want to do the formula because we really wanted to get him to nurse. I had to work with a lactation counselor. It was really tough, and we just stuck to our guns. They wanted to keep him because he was jaundiced. We asked him, we said, there's got to be some other way that we can take him home. So they actually sent him home with a little light, a little Billy Ribbon light that he laid on at home. So there are different ways around, them forcing you to do things or whatever. So, that was 18 years ago. I know they've gotten a lot worse since then. So, but, when you're younger and you just don't know, you run a bigger chance of being pushed around by the medical establishment. Where now, being almost 40, I'm pretty set in my ways. I know how to put my foot down. I know how to work with these doctors and how I need to come across to them, as being not a jerk, but firm in what I believe and firm in my resolutions. Also, doing a birth plan helps. I did a birth plan with Kelly, and it was right on the computers. It was printed off so all the nurses and the doctors could see, and it went great. They followed it to a T, exactly. So I would recommend doing a birth plan for sure and getting it in that computer. So, everything's new territory to you. You've not learned well how to balance stress and anxiety and just calm down. It's very hard when you have all these emotions and hormones and things going on to just learn how to balance that. That's a lot harder when you're younger. I definitely feel like that's improved as I've gotten older. And then you also overdo things way too soon, way too early. I was guilty of this. You guys have often heard the story of how I went to a revival the day after I got home from the hospital with Allie, and that was stupid. You don't even realize, I didn't even realize, when your placenta when you birth your placenta, it's actually being ripped, from your uterus. It's detaching. It's a huge wound. It's the size of a dinner plate. You've got that you've got to heal from. And if you overdo things too early, you could cause permanent damage, such as uterine problems, prolapse, different things with your bladder. So you have to be really, really careful when it comes to overdoing things way too soon. I really put the brakes on with Kelly. I'm going to try to, with this one, I'm probably not going to be as good because it's going to be right around the holidays. It's going to be tough. But I do want to spend the first week or two just in bed, not moving, in bed. It's very, very, very important. So some of the pros, though, when you're younger, it's usually easier to get pregnant, especially if you've not taken birth control in the past. And I wanted to mention that because I'm sure a lot of my listeners know the harmful effects of birth control, but birth control can make it super difficult to get pregnant later on. And I don't think it's a coincidence that there's so many young women, even Christian young ladies, on birth control because they're not being taught the dangers of it. And they're not being taught the side effects of it. They're not even being told about the possibility of it being able to abort a fertilized egg, because there is breakthrough ovulation. So there's a lot of Christian women that go on it. They think, oh, I'm going to take a year off. My husband and I can get to know each other. And then when they go to want to get pregnant, it's really, really difficult too. So be careful about birth control. I don't condone any type of hormonal birth control. If you look at studies, it causes depression, it causes breakouts, it causes anxiety, it causes mood swings, it causes cycle changes, it can cause breast cancer. There's so many things that birth control does wrong, just wreaks havoc on our bodies, and there's thousands and thousands of women on it, and that's too bad. So be careful. I don't recommend any. There are natural birth controls that you can do. That's a choice that you and your husband have to make before God. But I cannot advocate or condone any type of hormonal birth control at all. So another pro is your body usually adapts well and adjusts to dealing with pregnancy. That's a lot easier on younger women. You don't see the rise of different pregnancy things such as gestational diabetes, higher blood pressure. Younger women's bodies just tend to adapt to pregnancy better. In fact, mine did. And I mean, my pregnancies in my 20s, they were a breeze. I don't even remember hurting that badly. And I didn't get my back problems until after Allie. So for my first 4 or 5, I didn't have back problems. I don't even remember my hips hurting. I remember not being able to sleep near the end, but that was about it. So, I had less symptoms. My 2 boys, I wasn't even nauseous. In fact, it kind of had its downside though, because I gained a lot of weight with them. So, that was where all my weight gain came from. My last 4 pregnancies, I've only gained about 26 pounds with each. So that's good, but I don't need to gain any more than that. Sorry guys, I'm missing the chat. Yeah, Danielle, that's a good thought too. She said, I wish I had known with my first that you can fire your OB at any time, even when you're already in labor, if it turns out they have a God complex. And a lot of them do. They don't like it when you cross their authority. They don't like it when you don't want to listen to them. And that's why I like having a birth plan with absolutely everything outlined that I want. In my birth plan with Kelly, I said, do not ask me if I want pain meds. If I want pain meds, I'll tell you if I want pain meds. And no one said a word. After my water broke with her, I said I wanted very limited checks, internal checks. After my water broke with her, my midwife said, tell me when you have to push. And I did. No more checks. So they pretty much just checked me one time when I got to the hospital to see how far along I was. So I would highly recommend a birth plan. Get it in the computer system of the hospital. I'm going to be doing that in the next couple of weeks for my midwife. You usually have more energy when you're younger, when you're pregnant. I know I did. This pregnancy has been the most draining so far. And you just have easier pregnancies overall, I've found. Now, some of the comments that I got from a lot of the ladies, they were saying they in their 40s, their pregnancies were just as easy as in their 20s. So kudos to them. Kudos to them if you're one of these women. And I have a lot of comments to read off in a little bit. But for me, that was not the case. That was not the case. This one has definitely been my hardest. And I've had the most weird things happen through it. You know, I have the gestational diabetes again. So good for you if you're 40 and you feel like you're 20, but that's not me. So as you age, here are some pros and cons and advice for having kids in your 30s and 40s, okay? So I didn't really start noticing my pregnancies getting harder until I was in my upper 30s. I would say, well, you know, I'm not even quite 30. I'm not quite 40 yet. So in my upper 30s, so my last two, really. My last two have been my most tough. But some of the cons, you know, pregnancy seems to take more out of you. You know, births can take longer to bounce back after. In fact, I remember Lana was my hardest delivery. Allie and Lana were. And so Lana's 6, so I would have been 33. So I was in my early 30s, but she was born sunny side up. And it was a couple hours of pushing. You know, it was bad. It was a bad recovery. And I remember my mother-in-law looking at me. The whole family came to visit a couple weeks after she was born, and I still wasn't doing very well, bouncing back. And she was like, this one's taken a lot longer for you to bounce back after. And I was like, yes, you're right, it has. And I did take my time trying to bounce back, and it was tough with Lana. But then Kelly was actually, she's been my easiest delivery, you know, so that was just not even 2 years ago. So I think a lot of it depends on what you do throughout the pregnancy, and I'll kind of go through that, some things that I start doing as the weeks progress that I think helped with Kelly's a lot. I did a lot of research and I did all the tips that they suggested, and it was my best delivery. So we'll see. But you have to be very, very proactive with your care when you're older. You know, the risk of gestational diabetes is higher. You have to watch your eating a lot more. I could eat things. I craved pizza with one of them. If I crave pizza now, I'd be in trouble because my numbers would be sky high. So you have to eat a lot healthier. The back problems. I've had back problems with my last 3. Well, I got them with Allie after her. So really, really bad with my last 2. Just Kelly and this. Lana, Kelly, and this one. So my last 3. You usually have higher blood pressure. You have lower energy. Another con to waiting till when you're older is it could take a lot longer to get pregnant. You know, a lot of women, I've noticed my fertility definitely decreasing as I get older. In fact, with Kelly, we had tried several months and I got pregnant with the baby. I miscarried. And then I miscarried that baby. And then, you know, I tried 3 or 4 months before I got pregnant then with Kelly. Now, obviously, this baby was different. It did not take long at all because Kelly was only 14 months old, I believe, when I got pregnant with this one. And I was still nursing. Well, I had just weaned and I found out a week later I was pregnant. So I was pregnant and nursing for at least a week or 2 during that time. So it's just meant to be. God really wanted me to have this baby. So I'm glad. And then you also have a higher chance of miscarriage. Anytime I get pregnant in the last few years, part of me, I'm excited, but I kind of hold back the excitement a little bit until I'm past the first 12 weeks, because as you age, you do have more miscarriages. And I had a couple back to back. And so it's like, I'm excited, but I don't want to get my hopes up, you know, that type of thing. So you do have more miscarriages as you get older. In fact, once you hit 40, anytime over 40, most women that were leaving comments were talking about all the miscarriages they had in their 40s, because, you know, you have older eggs. You have the same amount of eggs that you were born with. And as you get older, your eggs get older. It's not like men where it's constantly being, new sperm is being produced. Eggs are different. So a woman is born with as many eggs as she's going to have. And as she ages, the eggs age. And because of that, you're more prone to miscarriage because of chromosomal, defects and things like that. So obviously you're going to have healthier eggs when you're younger, and you're going to have a higher chance of miscarriage as you get older. So, but there are a lot of pros to having kids when you're older. You know what to expect. This is number 8. I know what's coming. I know what my body does. I know its habits and its routines. And I know when I get to the point where I'm just like, I'm done with this and I want to go home, I'm about to push out my baby. So you kind of know what's coming. You've done your research thoroughly. You know the way you want things to go in your birth and delivery. You stand your ground more against things you don't want to do, such as invasive tests, things like vaccinations. I was able to refuse everything with Kelly, with the exception of vitamin K. They are so picky about that. And if I'm going to refuse vitamin K and take the chance of having DCFS called on me, which a lot of places do, I'm going to do the vitamin K. Now with this one, with this baby, I am trying. I'm going to order the vitamin K drops. And I told my midwife, I said, I'm going to put it in my birth plan. We will wait and see how the delivery goes. If it's a very smooth delivery, then I'm going to do the drops myself and refuse the shot. I said, if it is a traumatic delivery, we'll talk about the shot, because she's really worried about it too. And there's no physician that will prescribe vitamin K drops anymore. And they won't let you give your baby vitamin K drops in the hospital, which is stupid because it's your baby, but whatever. So they're really picky about that one. That's the one that they're really, really picky about. You've taken charge of your health because you know how important it is to you and the baby. You're usually more calm, more patient, and more go with the flow. I know that's definitely me now versus me in my 20s. And you have older kids to help out. This is so vital. Now, you won't have this obviously if you're in your 30s and this is your first child. But I think I found that for most moms, they say that they are a lot more calm in their 30s. They're not as high strung in their 30s, even if they don't have other kids to help them out. But for me, this is huge because pregnancy is so much easier now because I have one daughter who's pretty much taken over the kitchen. So she cooks a lot and that makes it easy on me. And then I have the other kids, they clean the bathrooms and they vacuum and they dust and they mop and they do the windows. So it's taken a lot off my plate as far as that. So where I was more physically active with my younger pregnancies and I was worn out more physically, I don't have that now having the older kids. So, no, none of my daughters have been there. I'm very weird about this. No one has ever been in my deliveries with the exception of my husband and the midwife and the nurse, except for the one time when I had Abby. She was breech. She was born butt first, and the whole room was filled with people that I didn't even know because they were witnessing a breech birth, vaginally. So that was the one instance where, and I didn't even care because at that point I wanted her out of me. So I looked up from having my breech baby and the room was packed with other doctors, nurses, people that were training. They were just watching in awe. And I think that's really funny because I didn't even know what was going on. And, I don't really care. They don't get a chance to watch breech births. That's why they were all in there. So I don't have anyone. My mom's never been in there. She's gone to some of my sisters, but when I am in labor, I don't even want my husband touching me. I don't want anyone talking to me. I'm kind of in my own world when I'm in labor, and I don't want anyone bothering me. So yeah, I've never had anyone in there with me other than him and the midwife and nurse. That's just my choice. I know a lot of people feel differently, but so you realize you need time to heal, and you take time to really bond at home with your new one, even homeschooling from the couch or your bed if you have to. So, and I think older women, they know they're getting older and they know that they just need to calm down and take their time recovering. So And then you realize that pregnancy will not always be there, so you enjoy and cherish each one even more. And I know for me, and I feel like I get, I say I want to have this baby in 4 weeks when I'm 38 weeks, which is the time I normally do. But I feel like as I'm older, I'm not as impatient, maybe because all the care that goes into a newborn when they're first here, and it is easier when they're in you. But I feel like too, especially with Kelly, I had tried so hard to get pregnant with her that I did not take any moment for granted. Pregnancy is hard, and there's a lot of things that come with pregnancy, but I appreciated every moment, I had with her. And then now with this one, obviously I have 2. I've had more aches and pains, and, it's been harder because I'm older, but I don't take it lightly that at 39, I got pregnant so easily and I'm able to have another baby. So I don't take that lightly, and I'm very, very thankful for it, because there are women who can't. They can't conceive at my age. They've tried, or they conceive and they have a miscarriage. So I'm thankful, very thankful that God's blessed me in this way, and I do not take that lightly, for sure. So, but let's get into some tips now. I wanted to show some of my postpartum halves though. So I'm going to, let me see. Oops. I'm going to share my screen right now, and we're going to go through some of these. Okay, so this was one of my absolute, if you are going to have a baby naturally, get this stuff. It's amazing. It is organic Perennial Balm. I used this after Kelly. I got it for the first time with her, and I feel like I was literally a week later, didn't even feel like I had a baby. So this one's kind of hard to find. I noticed you can get it for like $16, and I actually still have half a thing left over from Kelly, so I'm just going to be using that. But this stuff is great. So that's organic Perennial Balm. Another thing that is amazing if you've had multiple children is this after birth. Look, you last purchased this item on March 5th, 2014. So I need to purchase this again. Yes, I will put these links either in the video description, or I can do a blog post about it too. I haven't written a blog post for a while. I need to. This stuff is amazing. It tastes disgusting. Okay, I'm going to warn you. It tastes disgusting, but I have really bad after pains, especially when I nurse. And when I put a little bit of this in water, I mean, it's almost instant relief. And it's basically, what is it? Cramp bark and organic black haw. Isn't that funny that some of the herbs, their description is like what they help with? I've noticed that. Yeah, I also do like these Tux pads. And they have a perennial spray too that you can use as well. So that's really good. I'm trying to find what are the other ingredients in this. Let's see if I can see, but it is amazing. Look at the reviews on it. This stuff is amazing. Seems to have worked. Surprisingly, immediately effective. It really is. If I could recommend one thing for after pains, I mean, this works better than Tylenol, whatever. This is awesome. Awesome stuff. So don't forget about this. I'm going to have to add it to the cart for me to get. Yeah, it does. This is amazing, amazing stuff. Okay, so that's one of my favorites. Another thing is golden seal powder. This is great on umbilical cord stumps. So Kelly's got a tiny bit infected. In fact, it was still oozing at about 5 to 6 weeks, something like that. And my pediatrician told me, he's like, I might have to cauterize this if it doesn't stop. I really don't want it cauterized. I've read the horror stories about that because me, I researched it and I was like, don't want to cauterize. So I got some of this golden seal powder right from my health food store here in town, started putting this on it, and it healed up within a week or 2. So this is amazing stuff. Amazing, amazing stuff. So golden seal powder, and that can even, you can even use this if you have a C-section, on your C-section incision. It's really good at just drying up things, getting it all nice. Now, one of my ladies from church said that Walmart actually sells medicinal golden seal now. So that's another thing. I noticed it's expensive. They don't have it in Prime. And the ones that they had in Prime were like $50, crazy. So yeah, don't spend $50 on it. This is something I use every day now. From about 6 months on, I have to use a pregnancy support. One thing I've noticed with this pregnancy is my muscles are stretched. And I've had more ligament pain, round ligament pain with this pregnancy than any other pregnancy. And I need this support. So mine is very simple. It's actually even smaller than this. It doesn't even have this top part right here. It's just basically an elastic band. I think I got it free at the end of Kelly's pregnancy. And there's actually two that I got with mine. I got a smaller one that doesn't fit right now. And then I have a longer one because after you have the baby, it's supposed to help to bind your belly, to kind of keep the muscles, help the muscles heal up really quickly. So I'm going to try that after this baby. I'll let you guys know how that goes. I'm going to try to bind my belly with these two, probably starting in the hospital. We'll see how it goes. Okay, so that's some of them. Another one of my, wanted to mention this because she's listening right now, one of my friends, Jen. One of my favorite sites is, I love nursing clothes. They're so easy. I love wearing dresses, and I don't like it when I'm nursing and I can't. But she's actually having a sale right now on some of her dresses. I know this one only has a medium and extra large left. This green one is one of my favorites. It's really cute. This is next on my list. I really think that's pretty. But I just ordered something special from there. I think I have this in another color. I'm not sure. But this one, where was it? The tops. Let me show you what I just bought. Isn't this pretty? This is so pretty. And I just bought this to come home from in the hospital. I'm like, I need a special outfit too. And so this is a nursing shirt. I love nursing shirts because even if you have to nurse in public, you can be super discreet about it because it has these flaps, you know, that open. And you know me, I like anything floral. And I love these sleeves. Aren't those cute? So that is one of my, I can't wait till it comes in. Should be in this week. But she has a lot of really cute things. This is very flattering. I don't know how many are left. I'm probably the one who left the review. But this is very flattering. It's only $7.99 right now if they have your size. I love this paired with a cardigan. It's really cute. I have that one. I also have this one, and I love it. It's super, super cute, of course, because it's florals. That's one of my favorites, and that was probably my review left on there too. And then I had one with, I don't know if this is the same one I had one with like little silver buttons. She might not have that anymore. But they have dresses, cute dresses. Go check them out. If they have your size, go snag them. I have this one. Nicole, I know you do too, because she wears it she's been wearing it almost every service. She's about to give birth. This is one of my favorites. I love this one. It's so pretty. I have this one in pink. I have this one. You can tell which site I splurge on. This one, I will say, is super slimming because of the black, and then it lifts up. That's very, very slimming. This is cute. That's a little sporty one. I don't have either of those. But yeah, that's one of my favorite. So check her out, milkymaw.com. Check her out. She's got some good stuff on sale right now. Let's go over a hospital bag. I know Danielle was asking. I went through this one. I went through a couple hospital bags, and I really liked all the stuff they had on this one. I feel like this is kind of what I do in mine. So lip balm. Yes. I have lip balm now because for some reason my lips have been awful lately. Your own toiletries. I do this. I pack a small bathroom bag with your toothbrush and toothpaste, and I pack the little things kind of like you get when you're going on a plane. So I pack, travel size lotion, shampoo, and conditioner. I find that I don't usually wash my hair in the hospital. Actually, if I know I'm in labor, this is what I do. If I know I'm in labor, I take a shower and I blow dry and do my hair, and then it's usually fine while I'm in the hospital. If something happens where I go into labor suddenly and I have dirty hair, I might have my daughter wash it for me or something, but I usually find that I try to start out my visit with clean hair. So, and in an easy style, when it's straight like this, it's super easy to do. I just have to brush it, pin some back, and I'm good to go. Slippers, I've already packed my slippers. Yep. No skid socks or flip-flops are a lifesaver. You don't want to be barefoot on the ground. That's just gross. And then two, you might, like they said, you might be walking the halls. I've walked so many halls in labor. So yeah, I don't want that. Marissa said, check out on Amazon for an amazing belly support, especially for, I can't say that word, dietaceous recti, which I think I have. I'm pretty sure I have that. I don't know if the link's going to go through, Marissa, but yeah, put in those keywords and look for it. And then Dorothy said, if I could give my past self some postpartum advice, it would be get comfortable underwear. Yes, that's one thing. I didn't notice if it was in here. Yeah, right here. You want big underwear for the hospital. That is a must. Your glasses, obviously, this doesn't go in until I'm leaving because I use my glasses every night. Nursing bras, yes. Some good nursing bras. I actually, when I go to the hospital, I wear one because I know as soon as the baby's born, we're doing skin to skin and she's going to be nursing. So nursing pads. I recommend the Lancino. The Lancino are the best, hands down, nursing pads, my favorite. Phone charger, obviously, this is going to go in the bag last. Snacks. Now, I have not done this one. But, you could get some nuts, granola bars, different healthier options and just throw them in your bag. Bathrobe and comfy clothes. Yes, I do that. In fact, I just got one today. If you follow me on Instagram or Facebook, you'll see the adorable matching set that I found at Walmart. I was super excited about. But I do a couple bathrobes. I do nursing tanks. I do like pajama pants I just bought a nursing nightgown. I'm excited to try this time. So I do all of those. Your own pillar. Talking like a southerner. Your own pillow. Hospitals aren't known for their comfy pillows, and this is going to be something I've never done this, but I'm packing a comfy blanket, a comfy fuzzy blanket for myself and my own pillow when I go this time. Speaking of pillows, boppy. I always bring my boppy. I love my boppy. So, lanolin. While you're and baby are learning to breastfeed, you're going to get sore, especially if your milk comes in before you leave, which mine usually starts coming in the day we leave. And I've had some ferocious nursers. And so when you have a ferocious nurser, they can cause you to bleed. So there are some things on Amazon you can buy for that. The Earth Baby Mama or whatever, they make some as well. I usually just use the Lancino stuff that they do. So pads, underwear, and diapers. Now, most of the time, the hospital will give you a good supply of them, but obviously have them at home for when you get home. Another thing I do is I make witch hazel pads. I take pads and I soak them with witch hazel and I freeze them. And then the first week, I tend to get hemorrhoids very badly when I have babies. So the first week, those are a lifesaver. They really help bring the swelling down. So that's something you can be prepared for before you even go. And then adult diapers are a popular choice. I've heard ladies rave about them. I've never done it. I've never tried it. I bring high-waisted, all the bigger underwear, all that stuff. And then going home outfits. Pick a going home outfit for yourself and for the baby. I tend to find my babies just stay in the hospital garb until we leave. So you remember you're going to have a sizable belly. So I always just bring my stretchy elastic maternity skirt. And then, I got a nursing shirt this time. to go home in. So obviously the car seat, mine, I just bought this past week. And then, you know, the nice to have items. So cozy blankets, that's what I'm doing this time. Your tablet, overnight stuff for your partner. I have to admit, I've never packed for my husband. Usually when he knows I'm going into labor, he'll just throw some stuff in a bag and he's good. So he's kind of done that a lot, but yeah, I was listening to my husband speak Southern. That's how he says pillar. Don't take my pillar. He said that before. So that's funny. So I really like this list. I think it's good. And this is just on Medela. They had this list. I just typed in hospital bag, you know, hospital bag must-haves, and that came up. So we have a few minutes left. So I wanted to go through, let's go ahead and stop. Yep. Yeah. Let's stop the share. Okay. So I wanted to go through these tips that I got about having babies when you're older. Okay. So yes, Sarah, I do believe that they do. She asked, do periods always get better after you give birth? They did with me. When I was a teenager, I had really tough ones. I cramped a lot. I had really bad symptoms. Once I started having babies, that all went away and mine did get better. So, so yeah, I think they do. I don't know. You guys can tell her. You can let her know if you think that they do or not. So, okay. So this lady said, these are all from different ladies that left comments. My pregnancy at 39-40 was my absolute best pregnancy. Good for you. I'm certain it was because I was focused on gut health and changing my lifestyle. And that goes back to us just, you know, knowing more info and things like that. So yeah, I definitely think when you start focusing on that, then it helps. The biggest impact was probably that I tried to stick with the Trim Healthy Mama plan. I was able to get down and on the floor to play easily with my littles, sleep comfortably, and even tie my shoes well into my final couple months without losing my breath. Must be nice. Not me. It didn't even matter. I was nowhere near my lowest weight. So good for you. Selena said, I was 43 and 44 with my 2 bio. That was her last. You feel your age in the middle of the night during all the night feedings. I used to joke with my husband, this is why God made it so young people have babies because they do better staying up all night. I agree with that. Then Chrissy said, I turned 39 a month after number 5 and almost 42 when number 6 was born. The pros was that I was much more ready to have them. So being up at night didn't bother me as bad. I was able to co-sleep where I never could before. Maybe that's why I co-slept with Kelly, which my husband has put his foot down about that with this one. So we'll see what happens. I also have learned what is important and what's not. That's a good point. And I was truly able to enjoy them as babies where I let self-imposed responsibility stand in the way of the enjoyment of the first 4. I like that. Also, you potentially have help from the older children. Yes. The cons, my hips. Oh, my hips. Amen, sister. I'm with you there. I could barely walk. Turning over in bed just about killed me. Yep. It was harder for me to carry them, which is why we didn't try for number 7. It was touch and go for a lot of it. I was able to find homeopathic products that helped heal multiple SCHs. I don't know what that is. And that made the last half of both pregnancies better, but it took a mental toll on me. I will agree with the hips. My hips are in bad shape, but I take a lot of Epsom salt baths. I think that does help. That is one of the things I would highly recommend, Epsom salt baths as you get older. Oh, and I never went over my regimen that I start when I'm 36 weeks. Okay, so when I'm 36 weeks, this is what I started that I believe helped me have a lot better delivery with Kelly. First of all, weekly chiropractic. I have a very good chiropractor in our church. I go weekly I'm just starting this week until I have a baby. I'm going to go weekly. Before it was bi-weekly visits. That will help keep you in a line. It will help keep your ligaments more loose so you don't get tightened up. At 36 weeks, I start eating 6 of the big dates with the pits. Let's see, 3 times a day. So I start eating dates. Believe it or not, dates will promote a faster, quicker labor once you go into labor. I also start eating primrose oil. I take it internally And then as I get closer to you can also insert it with the evening primrose oil. So I start that. I noticed when I was 36 weeks was the first time I was checked. I was not dilated. I was not soft at all. Within a week or two of taking those, I already was it softened me up. It doesn't put you into labor. It just kind of loosens everything up. So that's what I did. When I went into labor with Kelly, we knew she was big. And so my midwife said, whenever you show signs of going into labor, if you're having contractions, mix 2 tablespoons of castor oil in with eggs and eat that. And so I did. And within an hour of doing that, I was having contractions every 5 minutes. And this was about 1 or 2 in the afternoon. About 6 or 7, we went to the hospital and she was born by 10. So that was my fastest, easiest delivery. And I don't know if it's because of all that stuff I had done, but that is my regimen. I will be starting in 2 weeks with this one as well. So, okay, Michelle said, I just had my 7th baby in February and I'm 38. I don't feel any different than when I was in my 20s. Kudos to you. Feeling healthy and great. Take your vitamins, eat nutrient-dense foods, exercise like crazy. I don't have the exercise part down. God will be your strength and strong tower for anything he calls you to do. He will empower you. I enjoy having babies now, just the same as I did in my 20s. And I'm so much wiser and don't let others' opinions and all the negativity that can come out of the mommy world steal my joy anymore. I am more confident. I agree with that whole last part. I agree with everything except the exercising. And I agree with the exercising. I just don't do it. Except for a walk here and there. Amanda said, I had my 6th bio baby at age 40. I had contractions starting at 8 weeks. That's not good. I took a lot of CalMag, calcium and magnesium, and Epsom salt and magnesium flake baths, which also help with body pain. It's definitely harder if you've had many and your body knows how to do this. And I paid even more attention to diet, and she had her first home birth at 40. So good for her. And then Carrie said, my last full-term pregnancy, number 8, I was 38 when he was born. It was one of the easiest pregnancies, labors, and deliveries. My last 3 pregnancies after that ended in losses. I'm sorry. I think progesterone supplementation is much more important the older one gets. I'm glad she mentioned that. Progesterone, yes. I have taken progesterone with my last 2 up until 20 weeks because of spotting in early pregnancy. I never had spotting with any of my other babies that did not end in miscarriage. So I think low progesterone is a huge thing as you're getting older. Definitely something to watch out for. Progesterone cream is not going to hurt things. So definitely get on the progesterone cream. If you are older, you can have your doctor test it, once you go. But I really believe progesterone cream has saved many pregnancies. It's saved many women from miscarrying. So as you get older, especially, it's going to be more vital. So definitely keep an eye on that. And then let's see. Karen said, I had 3 babies in my 40s and 1 in my late 30s. What helped me was having good communication with my husband about how we would handle newborn, toddler, or older care. She lives in Canada, and she said we have long paternal leave, and he could take a bunch of time off after the last 3 babies. But even if your husband doesn't have time off, it's really helpful to discuss what can be split between you. We tweaked things after each baby. So basically, her husband had to help out a lot more since she had him when she was older. The result was the last baby at 46 was less grueling because we changed our expectations of what we would do. Lowering your expectations helps a lot. The result, Also figuring out beforehand what other support you can call in. As a mom of multiple kids, it seems like you should handle it all as a veteran, but being kind to yourself, could you hire a teenager or service to mop floors, clean bathrooms? Can you hire someone to help clean if this is your first and you don't have help? Obviously, I have help now, so I wouldn't need to do that. But calling in help and support is good for mental health. You have to be aware, and I have noticed a huge shift, especially as I get older. Your emotions are going to go crazy the first few weeks after having a baby, and you have to be in check. You have to be in tune with that. Don't let yourself get depressed. Postpartum depression is real. get help if you need to. And one of the main things that goes into not becoming depressed is not doing things too early, not having too high of expectations, and getting help if you need it. So I wanted to put that in there for sure. No, progesterone does help later in pregnancy if you're having complications. Yes. Some women that are prone to early deliveries have to be on progesterone supplements until they have the baby, or until 36 weeks, until they're full term. My friend would lose every baby that she got pregnant with until she went on progesterone, and she would deliver early, any baby, usually around 33, 34 weeks, unless she was on that progesterone. The last couple that her doctors finally figured it out, and they kept her on the progesterone until full term, she went full term. So it definitely helps even later in pregnancy. Okay, so then Karen said, as for pregnancy advice, there's a lot of overkill on stats and hoopla about risks. Yes, because I'm like someone needs to figure it out. Okay, this is kid number 8, and I'm like old, supposedly, according to the medical community, because I'm over 35. So I'm like, what am I, grand multipara? They have these fancy names for it. I don't know. Supposedly I'm high risk, whatever. So she said, I would say no when to take the extra test or ultrasound. And if over 40, go with the new precedent to induce by 39 weeks. So she's telling you there's lots of varying opinions about that. I don't really have much of an opinion because I usually go by 38. So I have heard of, as you get older, your placenta ages quicker. I don't know if that's true or not. I haven't done much research on that, but generally ignore the stats. This is all cut off and they're overblown. And she said, I always get the extra ultrasounds because I've had many miscarriages, but I always skipped the test for Down syndrome markers. I've skipped every test. This is my 8th. I've never had any genetic testing. I've never had any tests for abnormalities. It was not going to change anything if I found out that we had a baby that was high on the list for Down syndrome. So it's not a big deal with me. And then Roseanne said, having older children to help was a huge for me. They did laundry, made meals, helped with the younger children. For me, having my 10th baby at 39, I realized I had learned things and I felt good about that. I wish to have had my supplements that I do now. See, I know I take so many, you're so much more health conscious as you're older than when you're younger. So, okay. And then she said, I think taking uterine health seriously because the increased risk of bleeding due to a lazy uterus is a grand multipara. There's one of those words. Drinking lots of raspberry leaf tea, doing our best to prevent diastasis recti or close the gap as much as possible between pregnancies. Something I'm loving this time postpartum is wearing a belly binding band. Look at that. We were just talking about that. I definitely have been more sore this time, and it's not sure if it's from the C-section or just aging joints. I can't stress enough staying somewhat physically active, walking or working out, and watching your weight via nutrition. I gained slightly more than I usually do, and had I not been at a good start weight, it definitely would have made it tougher. So, and then Lindsay said, I only have 3 left, and then we'll be done. Lindsay said, I birthed babies in my 20s, 30s, and 40s. The only thing I did differently was I exercised 3 to 5 times a week. She lifts heavy weights. And I owe the ease of this pregnancy to almost one exercise in particular, deadlifts. Yes, deadlifts. She's my hero. This movement strengthens all the mommy muscle, the muscle you don't see and otherwise would not have known existed until you give birth. All pregnancy, not one wince of aches or pain. No lower back pain, no round ligament pain, none. My legs stayed strong, my back strong, and when labor came, I squatted almost the entire time. Second stage was amazing. Recovery was short and sweet. My bleeding stopped after 2 weeks. Who is this woman? And my tummy, my diastasis recti closed incredibly fast. Never did it ever close with the other pregnancies. If you do nothing else, do your deadlifts. That is Superwoman right there. So, oh, Amanda, that's funny. Amanda said, I deadlift Sour Patch Kids into my mouth. Yeah, that's funny. And then Christine said, as we get older, we naturally become more insulin resistant. Yes, which I have found out. I do the testing for gestational diabetes, and with my 6th baby at 34, I had the first test fail that required the longer test. I passed, but had a couple spells with the last and the 5th with rapid low blood sugar. I almost wonder if this was what I was going through the other day. She said, felt like I was having a stroke with numbness of my arm and tongue, zigzag vision that kept me from being able to see, slurred speech. So bottom line, stay hydrated and keep sweets under control. Yes, you have to be very much more health conscious. And then Sharon said, purposeful nutrition, bodybuilding, nursing, motherhood, marriage life costs us nutritionally. So we need to be intentional to have it optimal. Exercise, sunshine, rest, stress management, including simplicity, contentment, and routines and systems, prioritizing relationship with God and hubby and children, and godly influences, all hugely important too. Training children to be helpful is great. It's a huge blessing to have kids care for you and run the home when you're resting with the newborn. Humility to accept outside help, and contentment if there isn't any. Very, very good tips. So that is awesome. Sorry if I did not address your concern or question. If you have one, keep it in the chat below. I'm going to cut this off because we're right at 8 o'clock, but go ahead and leave comments below, leave suggestions for how you have a good pregnancy. I think I covered most of everything I wanted to. We had a lot of good tips in there. You know, I think pregnancy is tough at every stage. You know, you're giving your life to house another life. You're growing a human being. That's going to take a lot out of you. You know, we've decided to give up our bodies to grow incredible little humans, and that takes sacrifice and work. You know, the Bible talks about the curse and how, you know, there's no way around it. Pregnancy stinks sometimes, but it's worth it. You know, every stretch mark, every ache and pain, every stick that I have to do to test my sugar to make sure the baby's healthy is worth it. Health and nutrition and watching what we eat is worth it. Anxiety and heat flashes and weird symptoms are worth it. We're given a gift that men will never experience, the gift to bring life into this world. So let's not take that lightly nor for granted. Let's try to focus on the good and not the negative. Let's try to enjoy every movement, every kick, every symptom, because we know baby is doing well. Let's try to cherish the times that we have when we're pregnant, because it's not going to last forever. Eventually, this season in our life will be done, and we'll look longingly back on the times that we carried life within us. So it's worth it. It's hard and it's a sacrifice, but it's worth it. And you guys can do it. You can do it. I have faith and trust in you. You guys could do it. If God put it on your heart to have a big family, go have that big family and try to have joy while you're doing it. So any other comments, questions, leave them below. And I am hoping to have a guest on soon. So I'm trying to book a couple right now. So I definitely want to do another one soon about spotlight on mom businesses. So if any of you have businesses out there, I want to feature you just like I did before, where I had everyone come on for about 10 or 15 minutes and, you know, show their business, explain what their business was, do different coupon codes. So maybe, you know, I could do that around like a Black Friday type thing if I haven't had the baby yet. So watch for that. But otherwise, you guys have a great night, and we will